This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau.
All right, welcome to the show. RD and JP at your service. If you want to be formal, Ray DeLesio, Jennifer Parson. Not to be biased, but this is a really good lineup today. We're talking water and wine, Georgia sweet corn, and a really unique story that you may have noticed while driving.
Yes, a little bit of everything. So let's get started. Straight ahead, after more than a decade, changes to water regulations in Southwest Georgia are on the horizon. Find out how the EPD's proposed plan could impact local farmers and water conservation efforts. Thinking of starting a winery? Then this story is for you. Hear from Georgia wine producers on what it takes to succeed and how preparation and local knowledge are key.
And then later, the new methods being used by ARS scientists to uncover hidden parts of animal DNA and how this breakthrough could lead to healthier livestock, better farming practices, and positive impact on the environment. These stories and so much more right now on the Farm Monitor.
In Southwest Georgia, the Georgia Environmental Protection Division has tightly controlled water permits since 2012 to protect our vital water resources. But now the EPD is considering lifting some of those restrictions, something many farmers would welcome. John Holcomb has the story from Terrell County.
For the first time in more than a decade, the Georgia Environmental Protection Division is actively working on creating a plan to ease regulations put in place back in 2012 after one of the worst droughts the state has ever seen. That suspension, which halted any new withdrawal permits, as well as any modifications to existing withdrawal permits on the Flint River Basin, was meant to protect water resources from being overconsumed. However, that could all soon change after years of evaluation and data collection.
The 2012 suspension was never intended to be a permanent suspension. We knew that we needed to use and manage the water resource effectively. So we've just been working over the last 12 years to get better water data, better metering data, to go through and evaluate that information. We're also in a really unique position where we have a funding from ARPA that's going to the Georgia Water Planning and Policy Center for the development of an incidental take permit and a habitat conservation plan. And that all sounds like a lot of jargon, but really what it boils down to is we have some threatened and endangered mussels in the lower Flint Basin, and this is a way for us to protect our existing water users and protect those mussels, while at the same time giving us an opportunity to think through how do we want permitting to look moving forward.
The proposed modifications are contingent upon two main factors: additional capacity being identified and the protection of water in those already permitted to use it. And if those criteria are met, new permits would be under drought restrictions that users would need to comply with to ensure proper management.
When times are good, when times are normal, and even when times are a little bit dry, you could irrigate just as anyone normally would. But when we get into a really significant drought, the kinds of things we saw in 2007, in 2011, restrictions would be put in place, and that person would not be able to withdraw from the Florida aquifer anymore, to make sure that we were not using too much of that water resource. The second thing that we're talking about is making sure that we've got really good compliance options. So if folks do have a situation where they're irrigating outside of their permitted acreage, that we have a good path to compliance that's going to get them where they need to be, where we can protect the water resource, but we're really all working together.
According to Murray Campbell, a farmer who has been a part of this discussion since the first moratorium was put in place in 1999, says this modification would be a great win for those like himself who wouldn't be able to farm without irrigation.
We are so much further down the road in the science and knowing what's going on and being able to predict what will happen with the modeling. We're on the verge of being able to protect the permits that we have, which is important, to correct some of the inaccuracies that we have in some of the permits, and that we can then see where those areas are where we can open up and have some more permits that may be under a drought restriction, under a significant situation. But we have come so much further than where we were 25 years ago. It's unbelievable, and we're making great progress. And it's going to be good for agriculture.
The EPD hopes to have a final decision regarding the current suspension in November. Reporting in Dawson for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
So, looking for some top quality vino? Maybe a trip to Europe and the vineyards of Sicily? Why bother? Stay home and enjoy some of the best wines in the world right here in Georgia. But as Damon Jones reports, building a successful winery begins with thorough research long before breaking ground.
It's long been said that preparation is the key to success. And with so many different factors to consider both in and away from the field, that certainly applies to starting up your own winery. It's why the Georgia wine producers put on this new Grape Growers Symposium twice a year in order to give those interested both the information and confidence to make that leap.
Definitely do it, but get an education first, know what you're heading into, know the laws and rules and regulations in your locale before you even put a shovel into the ground.
Local legislation is always important. How cooperative is your county? Or it's not so often how cooperative they are, it's just how much do they actually know. A lot of times our wineries will have to introduce the idea of what we're doing to the local legislatures. And as soon as they see what we're actually doing and how we're impacting the community, then they're really open to it most of the time.
That planning also applies to which varieties you're hoping to grow, as both the climate and soil conditions will go a long way in determining which grapes will be most successful.
One of the things that can be a downfall, as we all are learning this process, is if you plant stuff in the ground and then start researching what you need to do for that. A lot of the times the soil can be a very big difference. And if you already have your grapes in the ground, if you already have your trellis system in the ground, you can't adjust your soil very much. So we have a lot of acidic soils, a lot of compact soils that if you don't break that up and mix in some lime in order to make sure that it's a little bit more conducive to what the grapes need, you suffer on the long term.
Despite all the work that goes into educating yourself, that hasn't stopped a growing number of people from fulfilling their dream of opening a winery, as they can now be found all over the state.
Now there's almost 100 wineries. We're not quite sure. There's around 100 wineries in Georgia, growing everything from vinifera, muscadine, fruit wines, Norton and Lanois, Blanc de Blanc, some of the so-called Native American grapes. And we have wineries from Blairsville at the top of the state to Valdosta at the bottom of the state. So it's really, it's an interesting time to be in Georgia.
That's good news not just for the agricultural industry, but for the entire economy as well, with many rural areas in the state now becoming a destination thanks to its growing popularity.
People want to go to a winery, but they want to go to 5 or 6 wineries in a weekend a lot more. So if we can get more friends into this and more people involved, then all the supporting things also come with it. Nicer hotels, restaurants, bed and breakfast, all this is really cool stuff. So when people come out to the wineries, they get to enjoy all of that, and the whole community benefits.
Reporting from Ackworth, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, get ready to savor the flavors of summer. Up next, Dr. Tracy Brigman and Rave dive into 2 delicious recipes, from a refreshing corn salad to crispy corn fritters. These dishes are bursting with farm fresh goodness.
Yes, round of high fives for everybody involved in this incredible segment, Meals from the Field, especially Dr. Tracy Brigman, who brings so much to the table, literally. And, occasionally Tracy and I are criticized for being corny. Well, this month we are getting really corny because that's our focus is corn.
Absolutely.
You've got some good recipes. Let's get going.
We do. So our first one is a really super simple corn salad.
Okay.
This is a great time of year. There's corn in season. We're going to start with the dressing. So we have this handy dandy
Baby bottle.
Baby bottle
it's
dressing.
Not a baby bottle.
It is not. It's a dressing, mixer, so where I can shake it and then I can pour it. So since you weren't comfortable with my whisking before, we're gonna get it closed in. So we're gonna take the lid off. And if you will go ahead and pour, that's a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then we have 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar.
Okay.
When you're making a vinaigrette, you can use all straight vinegar, but I wanted to make it a little bit more summery, so I split half. I took out half the vinegar and added 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice.
Lime juice?
Just to kind of give it a little bit of kick. And then that is a teaspoon of sugar.
All right. Then we'll put that on.
Yep, you're gonna turn the lid on, make sure the top thing is closed.
Closed.
And then you're gonna shake it for 2 to 3 minutes because we wanna make sure that that sugar gets mixed in there. I'm not adding any heat, so it's not gonna be able to dissolve, so that means I have to shake for a while. So while you are shaking, I'm gonna put the salad together. This is 4 ears of corn that has been parboiled.
Okay.
This is 1 cup of diced cucumbers. This is 1 cup of, it's supposed to be halved cherry tomatoes. These were kind of big, so I quartered them, but it's still 1 cup. This is a 1/2 cup of diced red onion. 2/3 cup mozzarella pearls. So you can use feta. I like mozzarella in this recipe. So you just kind of make sure they're separated. This is 1 avocado that we diced. I mixed a little bit of lime juice in it so it would stop it from browning. And then this is 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley and 2 tablespoons of chopped basil. Yep, and then it will pour. So you're gonna put the whole thing on and we're just gonna toss it.
There you go.
And see how super simple that was? So that's our corn salad.
So what could be better with corn salad than corn fritters?
With this one, I started with white corn because white is my favorite between white, bicolor, and yellow. This is 4 ears, about 3 cups of fresh kernels. I did not cook these because we're gonna fry them, so I don't need to parboil them or anything. So this is 3 cups or 4 ears of white corn that I pulled off the cob. And then this is 2 green onions that I sliced thin. So if you want to go ahead and put that in and just mix it up, yep. Then we're going to do our liquid ingredients. I have 2 eggs. Oops.
2 eggs.
And that is 3/4 of a cup of 2% milk. And you can use skim milk or whole milk, so just give that a whisk with the fork if you would, please. So that's our liquid ingredients. Now we're gonna put together our dry ingredients. So I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Go ahead and dump that in there.
Corn starch.
Not cornstarch. And that is 1 cup of cornmeal.
Cornmeal.
Yep. This is 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And then this is 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. And I'm just gonna whisk that together to make sure it's well combined. I want the baking powder and the seasonings. I don't want it to clump in one area. So once it looks like it's well combined, we're gonna go ahead and pour in the egg and milk mixture. So now,
the main ingredients?
The main ingredients.
There we go.
So I'm going to fold in the corn until, again, it looks like it's well mixed in. And you can see, again, how thick this is. And you might think it's not gonna turn out, but is it going to be the most delicious, easiest corn fritter you've ever had, I promise. So everything's well folded, as you can see. My oil is ready. I have it on medium heat. I tested it by putting a little bit of batter in first to make sure it bubbled, because if I leave it in there, if I put it in too early, it's gonna soak up too much oil and be.
Using canola oil.
I'm using canola oil. So this is a 1/3 cup measuring cup. You don't have to be exact, it's just my scoop. I'm gonna bring it a little closer so I'm not dripping things, but I'm gonna take about 1/3 of a cup and I'm gonna place kind of pat it down so it's flattened so it cooks evenly. So you can see that it's starting to brown on the bottom. So I want to take care when I flip these over because there's enough oil and I don't want to splash it. It's not like a pancake where it's pretty dry.
There's a technique.
There's a technique. So you can see I have a spatula and I have a fork. So I'm going to take the spatula, go in the bottom, and I'm going to use the fork to kind of hold it and turn it over. So you see no splashing. That is the key. I'm going to cook these on the other side, the bottom side, for again 2 to 3 minutes until it's nice and brown. When it's nice and brown, we're going to pull it out and put it on. You can put it on a rack and drain it that way. You can put it on some paper towels to drain some of that oil. And then you just continue making fritters until you're
All gone.
all gone. And that's how easy it is.
And you can find these recipes by logging on to farm-monitor.com, going to the very top, clicking on the recipe section, everything there in detail. These will be up there. Anyway, Tracy, thank you so much. Always good to see you. Good to see you as well, and we will see you next month.
Coming up, scientists make groundbreaking discoveries in animal genetics, unlocking hidden parts of the genome. Find out how this could lead to healthier, more efficient livestock and a greener future.
Cattle are very diverse. Cattle are raised all over the world in many different climates. Typically, we have a limited number of cattle breeds that are used for production in the US. So as climates change, there might be specific traits from other breeds around the world that farmers would be interested in utilizing. One thing that improved genomes allows us to do is to more accurately bring traits in from other breeds that we might be interested in.
Genome assembly technologies come a long ways. The process used to take millions of dollars utilizing large international consortiums. Dr. Rosen now assembles genomes much faster for a fraction of the cost, thanks to technological advances.
If you're trying to assemble a genome, you can think of it as a very complex jigsaw puzzle. And when those pieces are really small, it can make for a very hard puzzle to put together. And now we're able to do multiple genome assemblies within a single lab that are orders of magnitude more accurate, better in every way than what was typically done by these very large consortiums.
Advances in technology have yielded many research benefits, most notably T-to-T or telomere-to-telomere assemblies.
The first cattle genome had, I believe, hundreds of thousands of regions where information was just missing, known as gaps in the genome assembly. But now, with the combination of highly accurate and long sequence technology, we're able to assemble genomes without any gaps. The ability to go from the start of a chromosome, which our chromosomes are capped with telomeres, you go from one telomere all the way through that chromosome without any gaps to the other telomere, and that's what we call T-to-T, telomere-to-telomere genome assemblies. Instead of 100 base pairs, you can sequence and look at 10,000, 100,000 base pairs at a single time, and now you have the ability to span some of these more repetitive regions and to place those sequencing reads to put that puzzle together. So that one turned out great. I think we probably need one more flow cell data for this guy, but then I think we'll be all set. Once we have the genome of an organism fully sequenced, fully assembled, and as correct as possible, now what researchers are able to do is to understand at a very fine scale what these genes, what these instructions are doing in the genome. The better our genomes get, the more traits we're able to understand. Now with our improved genome assemblies, we're going to be able to expand that to more regions of the genome, expand that to more traits that people might be interested in, which would enable us to improve production in ways in which we previously weren't able to. It's going to open up new avenues for improving animal health and animal production.
Finally this week, June is National Pollinator Month, making it a great time to highlight how the Georgia Department of Transportation is partnering with the Georgia Association of Conservation Districts to support Georgia's pollinators. The project includes planting habitat gardens across the state. I recently visited one of these sites at a rest area in Dooley County.
As you travel along Georgia's interstates, you may see some splashes of color.
The purple flowers, that's a verbena.
And although these are wildflowers, they've been strategically planted.
We typically do our plantings is called drill seeding. The machine that just makes a little cut and then it drops the seed in and then it covers it up. And that way we don't get a lot of erosion. And this is something that farmers also do in their fields as well for crops.
Through a partnership with the Georgia Department of Transportation and the Georgia Association of Conservation Districts, this team of 6 helps manage all of the vegetation on all of the right-of-ways in our state, and is part of the Pollinator Initiative project, designed to increase pollinator habitats and awareness.
They need the food that comes from the flowers, and then the flowers need them to help spread the pollen so that it makes their seeds, encourages their fruits to grow.
This year, their goal is to plant 25 acres in each of their 7 districts. That's 175 acres of pollinator gardens total across our state.
This is a job that can create more impact to the residents, and I think that's important.
Sheen Shu had a hand in creating this map on the Georgia DOT's website, showing exactly where the 15 pollinator gardens at rest areas are located.
They are interested in one location and they can just drive there and have a look.
We chose rest areas and welcome centers so people could get up close to the flowers and experience them. We also have informational signs as to what they're looking at with QR codes that they can go to a couple of different websites to get more information about pollinators.
So as you take a break from traveling, chances are, so are the pollinators.
Our roadways are also corridors where these insects can travel, and if they have places where they can live, it's almost like a reservoir where they can live and they can grow and thrive.
This group of landscape architects and agronomists work hard to provide a stopover for busy insects helping Georgia's crops, offering flowers for multiple seasons and grasses to support all insects.
Each place is different. I would say what grows in the north is often different from what grows in the south.
And if you see the vegetation growing higher in some places, Felicity Davis says it's not because they've neglected mowing. Rather, they're leaving space for the bees and butterflies.
On certain routes where we are not mowing the whole area, so that monarch butterflies, when they're traveling through our state on their way down to Mexico and on their way back, will have a nice place to rest and will have food to eat on their migration.
They encourage you to enjoy the beauty of the plants along the roadways, but do it safely.
At our rest areas and welcome centers, those are safe places that people can pull off the highway, they can rest, they can relax for a little bit in their trip, but then they can also see these beautiful plants and flowers.
And these wildflowers aren't just pretty to look at, they serve as a safety feature for drivers too.
It breaks up highway hypnosis. It breaks up the monotony, so flowers can actually help people stay a little bit more alert.
Although it may be tempting to pick these wild beauties at the next rest area you visit, please don't take them with you when you go.
If you want to take a flower away with you, take it on your camera.
Yes, because flowers eventually die anyway, right? Pictures last a lifetime. Jennifer, thank you so much, and thank you for making this show possible.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week.